Alright, so I'm going to go over quickly how to check your ellipses and the angles for your cubes and such. So some general things, that very simple things that you can check just to make sure your cube is in perspective. So just a few things. I'm going to use my purple marker. Oh no, actually I'll use my charcoal. Alright, so just a few things. So when you have a cube, right, there are some things that I went over with you in the first video about measuring angles and such, but I'm just going to draw a quick cube. Alright, looks like a cube, a little bit wonky. Here are some things. So if you take your pencil or any straight edge and you measure the angles, okay, I'm just going to check. Now this is one of the hardest things, but same thing, just take your time to check the angles on the top. Alright, so cube, got it. So where there is no perspective for a cube, perfect cube, these lines would be parallel. This one, this one, this one. Same thing for this one, this one, this one. These vertical lines are just straight down. So if you draw a line down to your drawing edge, it should be perpendicular a 90-degree angle to this line, the edge of the paper right here. So if you see that this line is slanted like this or like this, something is off. Second thing, if you find that, so no perspective, it would just be parallel, but there's perspective. So there will always be a vanishing point, right? So if you notice that, meaning like these lines will converge, will meet somewhere far away in one point, will vanish into one point. So these lines right here. So if you notice that this line is going out and this line is going out like that, something is off, right? If your cube looks like this, something is off, because these lines are getting further away from each other, right? So you want them to get closer and meet at one point. Same thing for this line, right? These lines right here, okay? So here are some examples of weird cubes or rectangular prisms. Okay, this angles like this. Unless, of course, you have like a slanted rectangular prism. Okay, let's move on to ellipses. Ellipses are basically, in simple terms, they're just ovals, but they're like circular shapes in perspective. Okay, so let's say like a bottle or toilet paper, or the bottom of this cylindrical cone. Okay, so some things about ellipses is they have a major axis and a minor axis. Okay, they will be symmetrical both ways. The edges will always be rounded. So if you're noticing that you're drawing a cat eye, nope, or an eye, sorry, or a racetrack, no. These lines should always be going in, getting smaller or less than, or narrowing to the edges, right? But they should not be pointy, okay? So make sure it's symmetrical on both sides, and also that these are rounded, okay, and that they're not going out of place like this, okay? So if you're drawing a cone, So you just draw a cone. Looks pretty correct, right? Depending on also the perspective, I encourage you to draw the ellipse within the cone. Find the major axis and minor axis. Sometimes the major and minor axis will be slanted, so I'm looking at the cone from this angle. I know it's hard to see, but I'm trying to measure the angle of the minor axis with my pencil, and I see that it's slanted this way. Major axis, the furthest distance between the widest points. Okay, so from here to here for me. Okay. Major axis, minor axis, edges are rounded. All the points go into that rounded area. And my cone, well, that is way too slanted. Okay, so always make sure to check your major. Still too slanted. Let's try it again. Minor. There you go. That's better. So many times students will make the mistake of drawing the bottom too flat or too sharp on the edges. So in that case, always try to draw the major and minor axis first and draw the ellipse, and then round out the corners and then draw the triangle. Okay? That's that. Let me know if you have any questions about drawing cubes and ellipses. For some of you it may be the first time, so I understand, and maybe I will try to find also a reading for you to get another kind of better idea of how to do this as well.